This is Envision Self-Healing Podcast, episode number 45. Hi, I'm Will Fuller.
And I'm Richard Miller.
And we are the co-creators of EnvisionSelfHealing.com and are dedicated in helping you improve your eyesight and quality of life
by taking healing into your own hands. The topic of the week this week is 5 Steps to a Successful New Year's Resolution, Part 3, Is it Attainable? And in the question of the week, at the second half of the podcast, we're going to be answering a general question from someone who has optic atrophy and asking us what are the exercises he should do.
So Richard, how's the world of self-healing been treating you this week?
Well, I went off to my new gym and where I'm doing spin classes, and I've now got a trainer there.
Fantastic.
And he's a great trainer. He's been in the business for 30 years, and he's in his 50s as I am.
Fantastic. So and I bet he's fitter than I am.
He's definitely fitter than you.
And most people.
Yeah, he's pretty impressive, actually. We started working on what I was talking about last week. I came to him wanting to improve my cardiovascular conditioning. It's so hard to describe this, actually, because it really relates to optic atrophy. I'm sure I'm a very unusual person coming to him to say, I have optic atrophy and I want to improve my circulation. I doubt that's somebody he's ever dealt with.
Yeah.
But he was really game for it. And the cool thing is that he has presbyopia himself. He's in his 50s. It's actually good. He's only developing it now. Mm-hmm. And he's a friend of a friend. I gave him the website maybe a month or so ago. And so he was so enthusiastic about our website and has started to improve his presbyopia fairly quickly. And
you also got some fame recognition
when
you walked in the gym.
I walked in the gym and he knew who I was just from the video. So that was pretty darn cool. That's the first time that's actually happened.
We're going to have to start getting you a bodyguard and go out in sunglasses. And
the presbyopia rock star.
Yeah, unfortunately, no one would be able to... No, everyone would be able to see you from the distance, but no one would be able to see you close up.
Right, that's right. So anyway, so he was very, very good. And we set a goal of resting heart rate. We discussed this last week. It's like, how should I measure my ability? Really, what I'm going for is more vision and getting more circulation to my optic nerve, leading to more vision. That's really my goal. But I have to set something measurable. So in this case, we had to come up with some measure of my heart rate.
Okay.
Either, as we talked about, you and I talked about, maybe it could be the rate where it drops from your peak down, how long it takes to drop to your resting heart rate, that recovery rate. That's what it is. Yeah. But he decided that let's establish resting heart rate, and then we'll check that over time.
Yeah.
So what it means, I have this chest, heart rate monitor.
I have a chest.
I have a chest. I have a heart too.
That's good.
Yeah. I have one of those chest strap heart rate monitors. So what I'm going to have to do is, he said it's important not to do anything. So you have to put put a Post-it on your alarm clock. So as soon as you wake up, you look at this wrist monitor, the wristwatch that reads out your heart rate. Because as soon as you start thinking or doing anything, your heart rate jumps up.
Okay.
So that's going to be my measure, is resting heart rate.
Just don't get up too quick to get the Post-it note.
Yeah, exactly. It's like, what's my attitude when I'm looking at the Post-it note?
I've never heard that before. But
that's what he said. So as soon as you do anything, you've raised it. So that's going to be my measure. And just to prove that the spin class does this, so one of the people in the class has told me he'd been doing it for maybe 4 or 5 years, and his resting heart rate went from somewhere in the 70s, high 70s, into the 40s.
Wow!
By doing this class.
Fantastic.
So, yeah.
That's good. That it's great because you're seeing it. We talked before a previous podcast about a holistic approach to self-healing, and to think of vision improvement as just the eyes and just doing eye exercises would be the wrong approach. And it's great for people to see that you're not just talking about eye exercises here. And in fact, as you know, that your condition is a lack of blood flow to the optic nerve, then certainly it makes sense to increase more circulation to it, which is why your goal is then to improve circulation instead.
Right. And just I know this sounds like a setup or something, but I did right after the spin class on Monday. So did I see it? Yeah, that was Monday. I went to a Chinese restaurant. I'm not bragging about my diet at this point.
You didn't steal their food and run off, and they couldn't catch you, so you know that you're getting fitter.
Well, and you know that it's that psychology of like, wow, I've just burned, I don't know how many calories I've just burned, so now I deserve, pot stickers and. But anyway,
put it all back on again.
Yeah, put it all back on again. That's what I was figuring. Anyway, I went to the Chinese restaurant and I opened up the fortune cookie at the end and could read the fortune, which is not normal for me. So I do, and it seems a little crazy that one class would do that, but it was a reality. I was reading the fortune on the fortune cookie. So
well, not to go too psychological, it's not because it was a positive fortune and before it was negative and you just didn't want to see it.
No, it wasn't that exciting of fortune anyway. But,
right.
The ability to read it was exciting. So,
excellent.
Yeah.
Wow, that's amazing.
So I think it makes sense because I've gotten massages before where after the massage I saw better.
Yeah.
And that's a similar thing. It's more circulation to the optic nerve. So, and I was feeling great, the blood was pumping. So there is something to that.
Yeah, and it certainly goes to show that you need to do it. I guess some of what we're going to be talking about today in our topic of the week, which is Attainable. Those that listened to our podcast last week will hear that we answered a question about somebody that gets blurry vision when they exercise.
Right.
So you could argue that there's a contradiction there between the two, and it just goes to show that different situations and how you're doing the exercise, what intensity, how the body is in the first place. And I think in general, most people would see an improvement as you're experiencing.
Well, I would go further and say optic atrophy might be a special case where you would see that improvement more quickly because that's our problem is blood circulation.
Afterwards, not during necessarily.
Probably so. I'm not sure I'm going to read a fortune cookie. I could do that. I could try and read a fortune from a fortune cookie on the spin cycle. It'd be quite a challenge.
I can just hear the instructor shouting at you, Richard, put that fortune cookie down.
Put that fortune cookie down. I need the energy and I want to check my vision.
Well, leave it down to us to do that. I'm sure that would work.
All right. Yeah. So that was my
good.
Yeah, that was my week. Good. So how was yours?
Yeah, I've been spending quite a bit of time in front of the computer this week, working on the website.
And watching football?
No. Unfortunately, it starts too early. Oh, English football. Sorry, American football.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, no, I just watch that. I don't try and do work at the same time.
Right.
Especially as San Francisco could be heading to win the Super Bowl, which unfortunately, if they do, I'm going to miss because I'm going to be in New York seeing clients over there. So anyway, sacrifice for the better. Yep. So one thing I noticed, and this probably came from when I was in England, I didn't use the computer at all. Completely rested my eyes. So now what I've been feeling this week is that my right eye has sort of been straining sitting in front of the computer. And it might also be because I've been watching the football games.
Yeah.
So I'm using that a lot more. And also, getting back into my routine. I've been getting into it pretty well, but not how it was when I left off. So my peripheral vision exercises I've not been doing them as well as I did before I left. So I noticed quite a bit of strain. And so I really focused this week on wearing my Obstruction.
As he is right this minute.
Yes. Yeah. And it's been interesting. I've been having to adapt. Those people that don't know, I see about 20/80 in my left eye, and that's the one with cataracts and also a pseudomacular hole. About 2/3 of my central vision is missing there from that. And then my right eye is more about 20/30, 20/20, which is a lot better vision. So there's obviously a very big difference there between the two. So when I look at something like small print on the computer screen, I know that's my better eye seeing it because I know that my left eye can't see it. So I've been playing with trying to find a happy medium. I've actually been blowing the screen up so that both left eye and right eye in theory can see it. So there's not so much of a battle there. So, but on top of that, I've also been trying to obstruct my right eye as much as possible. And I've really felt over the last few days, I've been doing this for the last 5 days, but in particular the last 2 days, my left eye is really starting to engage a lot more, and I feel a lot better for it. I really feel like this left eye is working more now. And I've also found it's easier now for me to use it. Like even now for me, I'm doing the podcast right now with the obstruction glasses on. Even the other day, I put them on now for normal everyday tasks. I even caught myself yesterday closing my right eye to use my left eye, because it's becoming that much more automatic for me now. And I've also noticed that then when I take my glasses off, the vision in my right eye, my better eye, is so much more clearer because it's not as strained. So it's really motivated me to continue obstructing. And I'm going to spend certainly the next week doing that and really dedicate a bit more time to obstruction to help activate the weaker a little bit more, and also rest my stronger eye. And I've focused a lot more on some relaxation exercises. I've increased my palming. I've increased the amount of times I'm putting cold towels over my eyes to help cool the eyes down. So yeah, I'm glad. It's been quite a bit of hard work. It's taken some adapting to do, because as much as I do obstruct my stronger eye with the computer, it's normally for a shorter distance of time, whereas now I'm really trying to dedicate a bit more time to it. So really really pleased that that's come on well this week. I did find an interesting encounter this week when I went to a supermarket, and they had organic blueberries on sale. So I went in and I said, and I couldn't find them. It was one of those places that they put the prices in all different places. And sometimes they're not even there, and it says it's organic, but it was the labeling above was organic, but the actual product wasn't organic. Like, you know, it's all sort of sixes and sevens. So I said to this person, after about 10 minutes of trying to look through it, and I thought I'll just ask for it. I said, excuse me, where are your blueberries? And he said, sorry. And I was like, where are your blueberries? And he was like, sorry, what? And I was like, oh, here we go. Accent, right? And I was like, how can I say it differently? I said, where are your blueberries? And he was like, no, sorry. So I said, where are your blueberries?
There you go. That's closer.
And he was like, blue what? And I went, where are your blueberries? And he was like, I went, your blueberries?
There you go.
And he went, oh, blueberries. Why didn't you say so?
Blueberries.
And he took me around the corner. And he was like, here they are. And I thought, this
it's not just me, huh?
Yeah. And I thought, well, this is fun. I thought, I wonder if there's a lesson in this. And what I came to think of is that we were both speaking English. We were both speaking exactly the same language.
Yeah.
But neither of us could understood what the other one was saying. And I couldn't figure out why he couldn't understand me, because I was saying it in English, right? Like, how could I get any more than blueberries? Like it's blueberries. What else is it? And I guess I kind of come to the terms that that with vision improvement as a whole, and I realized the more medicine side of it, and us, the holistic side, is we're both speaking the same language, vision improvement. We both want vision to improve.
True.
But it's that we're saying it in a different way that the other one can't necessarily understand. So with medicine, they can't see that vision can improve naturally. So when we say that, it doesn't make sense to them, just the same as I'm saying blueberries in an English accent.
Yeah. You can almost see the eye doctor sort of standing there, just like that clerk was. Just like shaking his head like, what are you actually saying?
Yeah, they can pick out parts of what it is that you're trying to say, but in general, it doesn't make sense. And then at the same way, they're saying, well, vision can't improve because of X, Y, Z. You know, we have all this evidence that we can't really see that point of view because we see it on a daily basis. Everyone's vision improves. So anyway, I thought that it was such a funny interaction that I really needed to draw some sort of lesson from it. And then, of course, last night I was trying to see what movies were up on this movie. I don't want to advertise anything. Movie ability of watching movies, and of course, Lost in Translation was one of the movies. So I'm going to watch this that weekend, and you're going to get up on that a little bit more. Mm-hmm. Okay, great. Well, I think it's a good time to move on to topic of the week.
And And the topic of the week this week is 5 Steps to a Successful New Year's Resolution, Part 3, Is It Attainable?
So this is part of a 5-part series that we're doing here, which is, we noticed at the beginning of the year that it would be great if we could help our listeners to set themselves some good goals for this year, and in relation we're doing it to vision improvement. And just like you hear on Richard's side of things, it's not necessarily about the eye exercise, it's to improve circulation. And last week I talked about that my goal was to stick to my hour and a half in the morning and make sure that I'm doing my eye exercises. So part of that approach that we've chosen is the S.M.A.R.T way of making your goals, and that stands for specific, measurable, attainable, relevant, and timely. So 2 weeks ago we talked about it being specific. Make sure that it's a specific to what it is that you want to do, and that it's not a broad sense such as vision improvement. And then last week we talked about measurable. Make sure that it's something that you can actually take note of. For example, if you want to achieve something on the chart, say at the moment you're seeing 2080, then maybe your goal would be to see 2070. Something that you can actually measure. For Richard, that could even be that, you know, he read a fortune cookie that he couldn't see clearly, and now it's clearer. You know, there's other ways of making it attainable. Maybe you stand on one side of the street and there is a road sign opposite the street, and you can't read it. So, you know, maybe your goal is to be able to pick out 1 or 2 letters or the whole sign by the end of the year. So now today we're talking about attainable, and I guess it sort of speaks for itself really. Make sure that it's something that you can actually attain. And
that one of the steps of that is looking around your life and your surroundings and go, do I have the resources around me to make this attainable? So like in my case with I want to lower my heart rate and I want to go to a spin class. That's I guess that is my resource. These spin classes are my resources. I was going to say, I was about to launch into, if you live in the middle of the cornfields in Nebraska, maybe it wouldn't be attainable, but then you'd just be running in the fields of the cornfields. That would be how you would attain it.
Could you imagine actually just running?
Just running. Well, what a concept.
And not in a gym like a hamster.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So for me, when, you know, making this goal attainable of, say, lowering my resting heart rate as a way of improving the circulation to my optic nerve, I have to look around San Francisco, because that's where I live, and go, okay, how can I attain this? What are the resources I need? Well, I need classes that will really motivate me to get my heart rate up, and they have to be available to me on a regular basis. I mean, part of my process of doing that goal was, how hard is it for me to get to this gym? You know, what's the transit even to that gym was part of the calculations.
I guess even if that, you know, if it's too much, I mean, even that could be a goal in itself. You know, is it a goal? Is it attainable to be able to get to that gym if you've chosen one that it takes you an hour and a half to get to?
Yeah.
You know, on 3 different modes of transport, then obviously you're going to be demotivated.
Exactly.
And that's why this is such an important part. And I guess this is why you call it the S.M.A.R.T way of setting a goal, because you're trying to preempt any difficulties in the first place. So I guess part of that also is part of the resources is to actually have the knowledge. If you didn't have the knowledge of how to measure your resting heart rate, then you wouldn't be able to attain that goal. So then I guess that's something you also need, is to have the knowledge in the first place.
And if you don't have the knowledge, then at least on your list is, I got to go on the internet and search out that knowledge. One resource of which would be our website, of course.
Yeah, that's why we sort of wanted to put so much information and detail in the conditions and the exercises, so that people really could learn about it, what it's doing, so it's so much more attainable for them to use those exercises.
And you think about it, that's really one of our main goals, was to create this ability for people to have attainable results from vision improvement. So we're giving them the resources they need, the knowledge they need.
And I guess you could also say the Eye Exercise Express, that we've got, you know, a big reason why we created that is so that it's more attainable for people to do it. So you can set it out into 10-minute intervals, and we explain in detail in each of those videos or audios how to actually do the exercises. So that in itself helps you attain your goal that much more. And I guess other, you know, general resources, books that you want to read, I guess one thing that's difficult about that is that you could end up going off at a tangent.
You could, yeah.
So you have to be a little bit wary, and we do talk about that. But we do have, in the resources section on our website, we do actually have a list of further the reading, you could say, but certainly do be aware that you don't end up going off in the abyss of eye exercise knowledge, and then 6 months later you realize you never started your program.
But if in some ways, if you've started out with specific, so say specifically, minds about circulation, it narrows it down. I only need to know about heart rates and cardiovascular exercises. So I think at this point they actually are fairly narrowed down. So
that's true. Actually, when I research things for say RP, when I have a look at, when you've got such a vast array of information, I look for specifically peripheral vision exercises or retinal exercise. That sort of. When I look for nutrition, I look for things to help the retina because it's specific towards that thing. So that's really important. And I guess also the equipment itself, like the heart rate monitor. Right. I mean, you can do it with your own fingers, but also things like the equipment for the eye exercises. If you're doing the peripheral vision exercises, you want to make sure that you've got a good stash of blank pieces of paper and masking tape, and make sure that you've got everything there in the first place to help you out. If palming is part of it, make sure you've got a good place to do the palming.
Pillows, things like that. And that's, you'll find, and then we have eye charts on our website, and they're also included with the Eye Exercise Express, and that's part of the equipment you would need, and we try and make those easily attainable for you.
So that's certainly ways to attain it, but in itself, make sure that the goal is attainable. If you're somebody that sees 2080, then to say, okay, well, I want to see 2020 by the end of the year, it's not overly obtainable.
Right.
It's sort of a bit, for me, say with retinitis pigmentosa, if I say, right, I want to get rid of my night blindness in a year. That's just not. You sort of got to be realistic. You've got to see where you are currently, which is part of the measuring process, and then you want to set a goal that is actually attainable. So, for example, we talked before about you with your heart rate.
Right.
Do you know what you don't know what your resting heart rate is?
Not yet. No.
So let's say that your resting heart rate was 80.
I'm guessing it's in the 80s somewhere, yeah.
And then you said, I want it to be 40.
Yeah.
Then that's not, not only is that not really attainable, it's also dangerous.
Right.
For your health. And I guess also saying that with eye exercises, we talked before about perfectionism being a barrier to vision improvement. And if you do set yourself this, unattainable high goal, then you're going to push yourself too hard, and if you don't achieve some of the steps, then you're going to get demotivated, and also you could even do yourself harm if you're trying to push yourself too much.
I was thinking about this. I replied to a Facebook message. Actually, we're going to talk about it, and it's the question of the week as well, about a young man who has optic atrophy. And his goal is to be able to drive because he lives in an area that doesn't have good public transit. And he lives in Florida, so the state of Florida requires you to have 20/70 vision. And so, in this message to me, he said, I basically can see a few letters on the 20/80 line now, and I want to see 20/70. I wrote back, that seems reasonable to me, and that's what I was saying. That seems attainable to me.
And what's great is this guy's 18. And yet we get a lot of people older trying to obtain something so much higher and unachievable.
And if your vision is 2800 and say I want 20/20 vision, that's not attainable. So your goal might be I want 2400 vision or 2200 vision, something like that. That's attainable.
And it's really something people don't think about. I don't know whether it's the fault of the companies that say get 20/20 vision in 2 weeks, or whether it's the medicine side of things. If you've got a problem, then they either just get rid of it or replace it, with a new one. I guess with things like LASIK surgery, then they talk about giving you 20/20 vision in 15 minutes or however long the procedure is.
Yeah.
Then we sort of expect this quick fix, and well, why shouldn't I have 20/20 vision in two? It's someone else's fault, I guess. So certainly think about that carefully when you want your goal to be attainable. Now, it doesn't mean that you will never get to say 20/20. And what we'll be talking about in the last one, which is timely, is that you put a time frame on it.
Right.
And for us, this is a New Year's resolution. So what we're saying is this time next year. We're not saying ever.
Right.
You could always have that 10-year goal, 20-year goal, whatever that may be. But in particular here, we're talking about what is something that you could achieve in either 6 months or a year that is going to set you forward in your vision improvement and improve your eyesight instead of setting you back and preventing you from doing the eye exercises.
Right.
Okay, great. Well, that's a good time to move on to question of the week.
And the question of the week I've already talked about a little bit. The question of the week this week comes from Facebook. From a young man.
I say that, Jack, every week. Not from Mark Zuckerberg.
No. You said that last week. Yeah, no.
I said that last week.
Yeah. So anyway, he has optic atrophy, and he's it sounds like he's a late teens person. I'm not sure. And he's athletic, plays football, plays tennis, but his vision is generally 20/100 in his best eye. I've written him back and asked what the other eye is. And he wanted, and the problem is we didn't have an optic atrophy free program in the website. And I'm thinking back, partly it was like, wow, we had so much to do when we put the website together. We just had to prioritize. And partly it was optic atrophy has some special technical, it really comes down to, we like to stimulate blind spots in optic atrophy. And we felt like that was too complex of an exercise to put on the website. I believe that's why we didn't do it.
Yeah, and we've put a generic program in the Eye Exercise Express for optic atrophy. So I think we included it.
Yeah, but we then avoided the stimulating the blind spots, because that was, again, a little more technical. So that's why
save that for a future product.
our apologies to the optic atrophy community out there, but that's why it wasn't there. But we did make the effort to put it in the Eye Exercise Express.
Yeah.
So in general, the way we would create a program for optic atrophy would be, okay, it's your optic nerve.
Because the question was, what exercises can I do for optic atrophy?
Right.
Right.
And so generally, let's just go through this logically. It's your optic nerve that's your problem. So I would put the palming exercises as first, because you're resting your optic nerve. If you've got a damaged optic nerve or a compromised optic nerve, you can imagine then throwing a bunch of information, visual information, through it, how stressful that would be.
Yeah, the same as you've just started spin class. If you did spin class every day for the next 2 weeks for 34 hours a day, then
too much.
Yeah, you're just going to overwork those muscles and strain it too much. So you need that rest period in between.
Right. And the second thing would be, okay, optic atrophy creates an overall blur, similar to myopia, but not quite the same. And so shifting would be the next exercise, because you're trying to stimulate or gain back the ability to see detail with your compromised optic nerve. So shifting, looking at details at a distance, because the optic nerve atrophy creates a blur in the distance as well. So looking in the distance and shifting would both be good exercises for that.
I guess it would also bring more blood to that area. If you're using something, then the body's going to send more blood to that place, which is one of the things that you're trying to achieve with the optic atrophy.
Right. And the third exercise we recommended on the Express was sunning. And this is harder for me to scientifically explain how it's affecting the optic nerve. It certainly is stimulating the whole retina. So I think in general, maybe it's stimulating the optic nerve through the retina. But in general, it's also relaxing the whole visual system. And I just find that it works well for me.
Yeah, I found that I've been using the analogy recently of photosynthesis with plants, and that, you know, the sole job of those leaves in that case is to receive sunlight. That's its and the job of the retina is to receive light, turn it into electricity, and then send it to the brain.
Yeah.
So it makes sense then that, you know, we don't want to deprive the retina of its job.
Yeah, exactly.
You know, unemployment's bad enough as it is, right?
Yeah.
So by doing sunning, you're really giving it what it is that it desire, you know, what it strives on. That's its number one job.
So
is to do that. So
that would be number 3, would be sunning, and then number 4 is self-massage, and this gets to the circulation question again, and we would particularly talk about neck, shoulders, head, face, self-massage to get more circulation to the optic nerve.
Yeah.
So those are the 4 exercises we recommend, and then as 2 reserve exercises, we have distance looking and obstruction. And this is where it got complicated again, because we'd want to know where your blind spots were, and obstruct everything but your blind spots, more complex techniques like that. So, but if nothing else, if you obstructed your dominant eye, most likely you have more damage to the optic nerve in the other eye. So by obstructing your dominant eye, you're stimulating the weaker parts of your visual system as well.
And you could also just print off the large and small print that's on the website and just see which one sees clearer, read with one eye and then read with the other, and decide which eye is the weaker one, and then, or the stronger one rather, and obstruct the stronger eye. And then, you know, you've got a chance of balancing those 2 out and resting the stronger one, just like what I'm experiencing right now.
Right. So, this is where if we had a client with optic atrophy, then we would find the blind spots and get flashing lights and stimulate the blind spots in that eye.
Yeah, that's definitely something we'll look to do in a future product or project, trying to figure out how to educate people on that one a little bit more. I'm sure that would be useful.
And then now I guess I would say, and this is how I replied to him too, is like get some cardiovascular aerobic exercise program going. So
make sure you're getting enough blood to the eyes.
Yep.
Okay, great. Well, we hope you enjoyed this week's episode. If you want to find out a little bit more information on eye exercises, or indeed how to improve your body in general, then head over to our website at envisionselfhealing.com. If you enjoyed or are interested in some of the basics that we were talking about here, and you want to gain a little bit more understanding, then feel free to head over to the website and check out the free ebook over there called A Modern Day Guide for Improving Eyesight, where we go through the 10 basic areas of vision and how indeed you can improve it, and also how our modern day lifestyles are actually affecting that and making our vision not as good as what it could be. You can also check us out on Facebook, and just head over to our Facebook fan page to search for Envision Self Healing, and we've been getting some great responses over there, people posting some great questions. So certainly check that out, like that Facebook fan page over there, and sort of see what's going on over there with our little mini vision improvement community. So you could also check Richard and I out on Twitter, and we certainly post regular updates on that, and indeed we also post updates on our Facebook fan page. And if you enjoyed the way that we're able to answer our questions here, then this is why we invented the coaching call aspect of the Eye Exercise Express, which is a bonus that we give there. So just go ahead over to the Eye Exercise Express on our website, and you can find out a little bit more on the free coaching call that we give there, so that we can answer all your questions verbally and in a lot more detail. Okay, great. Well, good luck with your eye exercises this week, and happy healing.
And have a good week.